very good morning to all of you. In this lecture, we shall get introduced with uh, the feminist critic and philosopher, writer, intellectual Simone de Beauvoir first, and then we shall go ahead with her views on feminism with reference to one chapter from a famous book, The Second Sex. Simone Lucie Swine Marie Bertrand de Beauvoir is a French name, was a French writer. She lived between 1908 to 1986. She was an intellectual existentialist philosopher, I mentioned it earlier, a political activist, feminist, and social theorist. You can see her picture here. Of course, she did not consider herself a philosopher, but she had a significant influence on both feminist existentialism and feminist theory. Okay, you might be knowing something about existentialism as a movement in literature. So she had a great influence on feminist existentialism and even on feminist theory. She was born in Paris, and in 1929 she became the youngest person ever to obtain the accreditation in philosophy at the Sorbonne, who was placed second to Jean-Paul Sartre, the existentialist philosopher. And she was the youngest person to get that position in an academic institution. And she taught in Lessees in Marseille and around from 1931 to 1937, and in Paris from 1938 to 1943. After the war, Second World War, she emerged as one of the leaders of the existentialist movement, and she worked with Sartre on Les Temples Modernes, at the French work. And they were in a live-in relationship actually, both Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir. She has written many books, such as the novel The Mandarins of 1957, and she was awarded the Prix Goncourt. Okay, she has been an influential thinker of her generation. With these words, I would like to go ahead with her essay. Actually, this is not an essay, this is a chapter from a book. Let's try to understand this. The book, the title of the book is The Second Sex. And this chapter number 6 from the book, is titled as Women's Situation and Character. So in this particular book, she talks about her feminist theory. Let's first of all get introduced with the book, The Second Sex. It is a revolutionary and very influencing book. And rather, this book is one of the earliest attempts to confront human history from a feminist perspective. We already know what feminists do. They try to study literature, history, and other domains of knowledge, other disciplines, from a feminist perspective. And this book owned de Beauvoir many admirers. Of course, there were many critics as well, many detractors. And in today's context, many regard this book as massive and meticulously researched masterwork. It is rather a pillar of feminist thought. You should note it down. De Beauvoir's The Second Sex is a pillar of feminist thought, a feminist theory. And it is also the 20th century philosophy in general. Apart from being a pillar of feminist thought, feminist theory, it is a 20th century philosophy in general. Now, what does she talk about in this particular book? Her primary thesis, her primary argument is that, note down all these words, no, they're very useful. Men fundamentally oppress women. That is her primary argument, primary thesis in the second sex. Men fundamentally oppress women by characterizing them on every level as the other. So they define women as the other, defined exclusively in opposition to men. So this is the mode of operation, mode of exploitation. Women are oppressed by considering them as the other. O in other is capital. The second sex. The other means the second sex. And they are compared, means contrasted to men. So this is how women are understood in our society. Men occupy the role of the self or subject. On the other hand, woman is the object. Man is the role of the self or subject itself. By grammatical terms, subject and object. Subject is the doer of action, and object is something which receives that action, receiver of action or recipient of action. So woman is the subject, the other. You need to understand this contrast. This is how woman is, defined. If you try to understand it in terms of semantics, the conceptual meaning. So man is considered to be the self, subject, whereas women is the object, the other. Man is essential, absolute, and transcendent. This is what is thought. You cannot imagine a family without man. And there is nothing beyond that. Man is supposed to be knowing all the things. He is knowledgeable. Whereas woman is inessential. All opposite terms you can understand. Opposite to absolute is incomplete. Opposite to transcendent is mutilated, ignorant. He extends out into the world to impose his will on it. Whereas woman is doomed to immanence or inwardness. Woman can't express herself. She can't bring out her feelings, her emotions. A man can do anything. He can impose his will on the world. Man creates, acts, invents, whereas woman waits for him to save her. Man is a protector. Okay, woman is waiting for his protection. So this particular opposition, this distinction is the basis of all Debord's latter argument. She comes up with this particular fundamental oppression of women by men by characterizing them on every level, by excluding them, as the other. And Debord's philosophy is based on this particular understanding. She states that while it is natural for humans to understand themselves in opposition to others, of course, this process is flawed. It is quite natural that we understand, even man understand himself in opposition to other man. This is quite natural. But Simone de Beauvoir thinks that this process itself is flawed one. It has certain shortcomings, defects, when it is applied to the genders. So further, she states that in defining women exclusively or as other, what is man doing? He's denying women her humanity. He's not ready to consider women as human being. So by excluding, by defining woman exclusively as other, man is effectively denying her humanity. So the second sex comes up with the sequence of such gender roles are put forth. It is rather the second sex puts forth chronicles are effort to locate the source of these profoundly imbalanced gender roles. And in book one, which is titled as Facts and Myths, she asks how female humans come to occupy a subordinate position in society. In this book, which is titled Facts and Myths, what she says, how she asks how female humans are subordinate. They are subordinate in society. Subordinate means to give them the secondary position. They are not on equal level to man. And to answer this question, and rather this is an attempt of Boa to understand her own identity. She is rather trying to understand her own identity while answering this question. She first turns to biology, then psychoanalysis, and historical materialism. So she talks about these three disciplines to get an answer to the question. Which question? How female humans have got a secondary position in society. What are the factors responsible for this? And she analyzes these disciplines. She studies biology, psychoanalysis, and historical materialism. These disciplines, she thinks, reveal indisputable essential differences between men and women. Biology, psychoanalysis, and historical materialism now establish these differences between men and women, but provide no justification for women's inferiority. They talk about the difference. They come up with characteristics. Biology talks about the characteristics of men and women, physical characteristics, physical attributes, how men and women are different. Yes, she's not blaming biology. She is talking about the natural, divisions. A natural description is given, but there is no justification in these fields for women's inferiority. Means why women are subordinate. That question is not answered. The justification is not given. So all these disciplines, biology, psychoanalysis, and historical materialism, take women's inferior destiny for granted. And they don't talk about this. They take it for granted, as if it is destiny. Destiny means something which is decided by your fate, Daiva. So they think that this is what is woman's lot. Debord insists on the impossibility of comparing the character of men and women without considering the immense differences in their situation. So what she's saying, this is not natural. Rather, the differences are in the situation where they are in. We think that it is destiny. It's not destiny according to Debord. It is rather a situation. So she tried to compare the situation as why men and women are different. Of course, then there can be some oppositions, but these are the roots of these differences are in the situation. In book 2 of the second sex, which is titled Woman's Life Today, Debord turns to the concrete realities of the situation. She talks about these realities. She traces female development through its formative stages. She talks about the development of a child, a female child, a female development of female rather. Then she talks about the formative stages, childhood, youth, and sexual initiation. Now, if you have read the poem by Kamala Das, an introduction, so you must have realized that how Kamala Das was reminded by her family, by her relatives that she is a girl. She was supposed to behave like a girl. Be Ammi, be Madhvi Kutti, or be Kamala. Is every time a girl child is reminded that she is a girl. So this is the situation in childhood, youth, and every now and then. Is why there are differences in men and women. The differences are not of out of destiny. They are out of situation. So these are the concrete realities rather. And she talks about the formative stages. So what is our goal here? Simone de Beauvoir's goal is to prove that women are not born feminine. Women are not born females. But gender, see, no, it's not talking about sex, you need to understand. Yes, which actually you are reminded of your sex every now and then. You are reminded that you are feminine, and this is shaped by 1,000 external forces. A woman is made to believe that she is female. A man is made to believe that you are male by external processes, cultural, social, familial, all these factors. So she shows how at each stage of her upbringing, her development, a girl is conditioned. Conditions, conditioning is a psychological term. Your mind is conditioned accordingly. You are made to believe that. Now the religion makes you believe that you are someone from this particular religion. So you are conditioned by your what we call lifestyle, your family members, your society. So a girl is conditioned into accepting passivity, dependence, repetition, and inwardness. A girl is made to believe like that. Accept the fact that she is a girl. Now, if you watch so-called Hindi movies, serials, Marathi movies, you must have realized that a woman is, you know, considered to be good if she follows all the norms, if she behaves in a typical manner. So, miss, this is how, miss, again, it's a matter of contention. But the minds are conditioned into accepting passivity, into accepting dependence, into accept miss. Suppose a girl is going out, she's reminded you are a girl, beware. Of course, there would be miss from childhood. It is happening. It happens. So every force in society conspires. Every force in society conspire. Conspiracy means coming together to plan something bad. So she thinks every force in society conspires to deprive her of subjectivity. As man is subject, man is self. A girl is, deprived her of subjectivity. She is not, made to believe that she is also a human being, and she is flattened into an object, turn into an object by making a belief that you are meant for this. A girl is supposed to wear this kind of clothes. A girl is supposed to talk in this manner. A girl is supposed to behave in this manner. A girl is supposed to take care of a family. Every now and then, miss, culture makes you, a society makes you to believe that. So she denied the possibility of independent work, a creative fulfillment. And under these conditions, the woman must accept a dissatisfying life of housework, childbearing, and sexual slavishness. This is how the conditioning takes place, and she has to live such a life. Just she is tied to her housework. She is tied to giving birth to children, and she is a kind of slave. She becomes a slave. So, having brought the woman to adulthood, Debois analyzes the various situations or roles the adult woman inhabits. So this is how we understand. Of course, there are many other things that we shall be talking about, and then we shall go ahead with this short chapter in the next lecture.